what do you think the market's gonna do? We all know the dance never lasts forever. But with such massive appreciation, even the most bullish amongst us have to look and admit that we have to be pretty close to a top here, right? Hey guys, Bryan Lebo here with part 2, where I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons why the real estate market is starting to finally cool off. Now, if you didn't watch part 1, check out the link in the description below to get all of these statistical references that I'm discussing in this video. Now, if you like this content, please support me by clicking the like button and smashing that subscribe button. Now let's get to it. Reason number 1, people ran out of money. Now, obviously I'm speaking in hyperbole here, but honestly, haven't you thought to yourself, how in the hell is everyone rich right now? It seems like everyone is buying new cars, buying new homes, going on expensive vacations, and basically just hyper-consuming since we came out of a quarantine a year ago. Everyone's bragging about their cyber wallets and their stock portfolios. Even my contractors, pool guys, and landscapers are turning down business and can't find people willing to work. It's a strange world, to say the least. Well, the truth is that while some people saved their money during COVID, a lot of people made easy money on Wall Street, cyber currency, and let's be honest, a lot of people refinanced their homes and just pulled out a bunch of cash. As we discussed in the previous video, the ultra luxury market accelerated the fastest. Why? Because the wealthy made out like bandits and can afford to do whatever they want, especially when their investment portfolios are generating historical returns. The wealthy made their moves first. They ditched places like California and New York and bought mansions in places that simply suited their tax benefits, political views, and overall just a better quality of life. Meanwhile, the rest of the population peeked their heads out and said, okay, yeah, it looks like the coast is clear. I can work from home more, but this place sucks. Money is cheap right now, so let's invest in our home and find something more suitable for our future. Meanwhile, much of the middle class saw increasing home values, overpriced new homes, and simply decided to borrow cheap and remodel their existing home. Now, we all know multiple friends and family that fit into one of these 3 categories. This was definitely the year to invest in your home as quality of life for improvements. But look, the money doesn't last forever. The people that cared about improving their home life, they likely already made their moves this summer, and those projects are vastly starting to finish up now. In the end, after buying a new home or remodeling and then going out and buying a new car and a great summer vacation for the family, that extra money you saved or refinanced eventually dries up. Reason 2. Now, I hate to be Captain Obvious here, but real estate just tends to slow down this time of year every year. While the media loves a headline or clickbait, sometimes the truth is just that simple. Even though our market is still very hot, you can't reasonably expect to sell the same amount of homes, say in November, as we do back in June. So just because the market's cooling off and we're starting to see the news, warning of a cool down, let's also be a little reasonable. Okay, number 3, school. Okay, I'm kind of cheating here a little bit because you could make the argument that this also falls into number 2. But the reality is that we're seeing a massive amount of relocation activity. For families, it's imperative that they get settled into a new community before the start of their school year. Well, with school starting up earlier this year, including some of them are actually opening up this week, the majority of families have already completed their moves. Again, moves have been made. I'm sure many families were mentally ready and committed to moving in February and March, but for logistical reasons, they still have to wait until summer to physically move. I had many clients purchase homes earlier than they were planning on this spring out of fear due to all these rising prices. As we discussed in the previous video, demand peaked back in April as a result. Okay, number 4, pricing. There's hardly a day that goes by that I don't get asked, what do you think the market's gonna do? We all know the dance never lasts forever. But with such massive appreciation, even the most bullish amongst us have to look and admit that we have to be pretty close to a top here, right? While I don't feel as though we've quite topped out just yet, many people are becoming concerned. Some people are selling now and electing to rent because they think a crash is going to come just like it did before. Some buyers that are sticker shocked feel as though it just can't get much worse by this point, so they're renewing their leases for another year in the hope that at the very least the market loosens so they aren't in bidding wars and they'll have a few more options next year. And while the market's cooling off, home builders are still incredibly arrogant and falling behind in delivering these homes, forcing buyers to enter into these blind bidding wars for lots. They used to be like $10,000, but now they want hundreds of thousands of dollars for lot premiums. This just puts a sour taste in people's mouths. Even with resale homes prices rising, it never closed the gap or that delta between new homes. It's getting hard to swallow the concept of paying 3 times the taxes just for a newer version of the same damn home you live in right now. So for most current homeowners, it just makes more sense to remodel at a fraction of the cost and avoid all these long-term financial implications like taxes. Finally, we have number 5, crash hype. Look, we live in a clickbait world right now. Facts seem to matter much less nowadays than ever before. Any fool like myself can start up a channel and come up with just absolute baseless conspiracy theories and conjecture. Every week I have a client send me a video with alternative facts. Look, statistics can be easily manipulated without context. A few nights ago, I had a great client of mine tip me off to a video where the presenter drew a parallel between current housing permits and the amount of housing permits that spiked in 2007. Now, his conjecture is that when permits spike, by the time the supply arrives, the demand is now vacant. It was a provoking argument, but only to the uninformed. As I've illustrated before, and likely will make a separate video of, this market's nothing like the mid-2000s. It's not. It is not. 15 years ago, we were building homes for speculators. Buyers were purchasing with the sole intention of flipping in a ton of cases. Normal people were buying up multiple homes and losing hundreds of dollars per month in rent just on the hope that they could flip it down the line and cash out a huge payday. Now, in hindsight, there was no other way for this housing market to end besides a crash. Now, in today's world, money's cheap, but it's not free. Investment properties require 20% down. Zero down loans without documentation, they don't even exist anymore. Buyers of new homes have substantial amounts of financial commitment now. Investors won't purchase unless the cap rate makes sense. The only risky arena here are commercial and apartment buildings. When you build, let's say 300 units for rent, you're hoping there will be tenants willing to pay the price of entry, right? When developers build homes, they already have buyers in place with substantial deposits. So while history does tend to repeat itself, it typically wears a different disguise. In the 80s, we had the S&L failures. In the late 90s, we had the dot-com internet bubble. And in the late 2000s, we had the housing crisis. Some form of crash is always imminent. But could this one be, say, crypto and day trading? I'm willing to bet that when this housing market finally does see a correction, it's not necessarily going to be because of its own weight, but rather the failure of other financial models. Well, thank you for watching part 2. If you like my content, please hit like and definitely share this video and subscribe. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys all next month.